This is Wages World, February 2nd, going into the 3rd, 2020. And we're going to touch on a few things here, guys. First, we're going to start off with the virus, and then we'll get into some space weather that we're having that I don't think is coming from the sun. Well, some of it's coming from the sun, some from elsewhere. I'll get into that. I'll show you guys how to get to those models and look at them, too, for yourself. But before we get to that, I want to talk about this virus again. Okay, I'll give you some numbers here in a minute. But just know if you guys post a video and it's got virus talking about the coronavirus, they will demonetize it. Okay, there's no question. If, ands, or buts, as soon as they see it, you're demonetized immediately. And how do I know this? Well, again, I don't monetize my channel. So Scott monetizes his. He had a video with half virus information and the other half was talking about our normal research, with space and stuff. He took the virus part out of it and re-uploaded it, and they monetized it. Had no problem at all. So, and Facebook's wiping out posts and videos and everything else without any kind of explanation. So they're definitely controlling this narrative, and they're trying to, and they will be successful at some level. It's up to us to kind of fight back at that. If you Google search just the word coronavirus or anything about it, you're going to get pages upon pages of government agencies and official mainstream media sites before you get to anything else. And that's just another way that they do that. They control it with the search engines. And we're not, people are basically getting shadow banned. And that's pretty much what that amounts to. And it is a form of censorship. So, luckily, I've never monetized my page. I've never done that, so I don't really have to worry about that part of it. But this is the guy here. He doesn't monetize his either. This is Dr. Paul Cottrell. He's got a degree in economics. He's a PhD, I think, and he's a doctorate in that. Plus, he was like a pre-med student, I guess, from what I can understand from his credentials. But regardless of any of that, he's taking the time out, and he is putting like 3 or 4 videos out a day because he's so passionate about this. He doesn't monetize his channel either. Not to say that he couldn't or wouldn't. I don't know. I don't know him personally. But this particular video here, Coronavirus New York City Case by Dr. Paul Cottrell. I'm going to leave a link to that one specifically because I do think that will kind of, give people a good idea of what's actually could be going on there in New York. He's in Manhattan. So, with that being said, we will go ahead and move on. I'll leave a link to this, to his channel here. And, so I'll get you some numbers here real quick. Okay, guys, here's the numbers. And this is the site I usually take you guys to. So, every day, guys, this number might not be doubling right now, but it most certainly is going up 2 to 3, sometimes 4,000 cases in a day. We're at 17,486 cases. And this is official numbers, 362 fatalities. This was updated at 4:02 a.m., which was about 20 minutes ago as I'm making this video. And, again, these numbers are not going to get smaller. They're just going to keep getting bigger. The United States, most of my listeners are here in the United States. It's about 11 cases there. To my Australian friends, I know I got a lot of people over there watching too, guys. Shout out to all you guys. I know the time difference is kind of funny, and I do appreciate you guys watching. But you guys have had 12. And I got some people in New Zealand and quite a few people all around. But it's all tragic no matter where it's at. And they had death outside of China now, too, in the Philippines. So, it's just not going to get... It's going to get worse before it gets better, guys. There's no way to put a positive spin on this. But you can see where this one was outside of China. It's in the Philippines there. That black dot means there was a death. And we can go down in here like I showed you guys yesterday. Well, I might not have showed it to you yesterday. I can't remember if I did that or not. Might have been the day before. But as you can see, guys, I mean... Yeah, there's really not much more to say on that because other than the fact, again, we're not seeing nothing in South America or Africa. It's just, and I do think that will change. I don't see how it couldn't. And, when they start funneling all these flights in through 7 or 8 airports to quarantine people and stuff, that's actually happening now, guys. Okay? That's in effect right now. So that is something we're dealing with actually over here. And that's something that we haven't had to deal with for a very long time. There's probably people walking around today, especially younger kids, that never even would have thought this could even be possible. So, but whatever your beliefs are on this and what's going on and how big these numbers are, the fact of the matter is something is going on and we have to pay attention. It even goes down to the N95 masks. Okay, they're sold out worldwide. You cannot get them. Okay, so I think there's upgraded ones that you can actually get that are actually do a little bit more than just the N95 particle respirator. But just do some research on that and do the best you can with it. Again, I have to stress, guys, this thing can have like a 14-day incubation period. You could be walking around for 2 weeks and not even know you're sick and be giving it to everybody that you know. And you may never ever have symptoms. That's how this thing is. It's really crazy. And even if they had a vaccine today for this, they wouldn't be able to produce it fast enough to really do much help. And so that's kind of where we're standing. So the only thing we can do is preventative stuff. Washing our hands, and just paying attention. Do the little stuff. It'll make a difference, I promise. So, but yeah, we'll go ahead and go on to the next stuff. Okay, guys, got you over at space weather. The wind speed right now is 386 kilometers per second. That's the solar wind. That's pretty much normal. It's not really that elevated. Our geomagnetic activity level is pretty normal. Actually looks pretty good, to be honest with you. It's not all the way on the bottom, and it's not into storm level. That's where we want to be as far as geomagnetically. And that doesn't mean that we're not getting issues. Okay, I have to stress that. Now, if we can go down here and look at this other graph here, the Enlil model again, as you can see, the velocity is, they're predicting it to go up close to 600 and stay there for days. Now, whether or not that happens, who knows? We can look at this spiral graph. We'll let it load up here, and you'll see. Okay, this is Earth. You see how we're already in the higher wind speed range. That's the brighter colors of yellow and orange and red there. So what's causing this solar wind? Well, there's coronal holes and stuff. So that's part of it. Okay, but I'm going to show you guys some stuff here in a minute. Now I'm going to show you guys this real quick because it's just so easy to show. That is a coronal hole, guys. I mean, look at that thing. Okay, this other, and guys, and I haven't said this in a while. Oops. Equator of the sun, and the Earth kind of sits here. Okay, so wherever these coronal holes are rotating through, they don't have to rotate right over top of us. They can be, offset, because when these charged particles shoot out, they kind of shoot out in like a buckshot area. Okay, they do follow lines of magnetism and stuff, but they also they spread out. Okay, so if we're like I said, if we're here and the hole's here, by the time it gets to us, it's wide enough that it'll still affect us. We'll connect to it. Now, what I want to point out is, guys, look at this. The whole center area here, there's at least little holes everywhere. Okay? So, whether or not this is, and that's why I think that they're predicting over here for this to be a longer event. And we're talking like 4 or 5 days. Okay, you can see where the radial velocity went up and stays there. Okay, and just like I said before, the density will drop when that happens, usually. And that's because the solar wind's carrying some of them particles away and makes it less dense. That's why. So, but, like I said, guys, I wanted to show you guys that. Now, we can look at the ACE here. I'm not going to spend too much time. But you can see the density jumping around quite a bit. What I call popcorn. Each one's a data point. High, low, high, low, high, low. That's why it looks like that. If it was consistent, it would look like that. Okay, it's a bunch of dots right in a row, right around the same velocity. That's what that yellow one is. That is the solar wind speed. And so they're expecting us to have these increased solar winds for a minute. 4 or 5 days probably. And it's happening now, and I'm going to show you some stuff here in a second. Okay, guys, I've had a lot of questions asking, where can I go look at this information at, as far as like the magnetosphere models and stuff like that. Just the tools that we use, at least what I use. And this is where, if you don't know where to go, come over here to planetxnews.org And, you know, there's, number one, there's good articles over here at Scott Wrights. All of it is pertinent to what's going on. But if you guys just scroll down, if you're on your phone, go about halfway down, and you'll find links. If you're on a PC, it's just off to the right and down just a little bit. And all these links, and I've shown them multiple times. Okay, here they are. Now, if you look down through there, those are basically all the tools you're going to need to look at space weather. But what I'm going to show you guys here today is this first. Okay, this is ISWA. You click on ISWA. And this is what it's going to take you to. It might take a minute to load. And I am going to walk you guys through this. If you hit the top button up there, it says clear layout. I'll show it to you. Right here. Anything that you've done, like it was keeping cookies and taking you right back to the same spot, you can clear that off so you ain't got to look at it. But this is what you're going to run into if you go to ISWA. Okay, this is what it's going to look like. You guys look at these tabs up here. You got solar, heliosphere, magnetosphere, ionosphere. Any of the charts and the data about those things are under those sub tabs. Okay, so what we want to look at is the magnetosphere. Okay, so I'm going to click there, and you see how things changed. Now, I know just from doing this 100 times, 1,000 times, that I need to go to page 9 under the magnetosphere, okay, which is right there. Okay, so I'm going to click on that, and it changes everything there. You guys notice what you're seeing in the first 3 icon boxes there? Those are the 3 ones I show you all the time. So, you just tap them, and they pop up. Okay, and then you see this little film strip? If you click that, it puts it in the movie tool mode. What you do is you stop it. You can enter your dates, whatever you want to do. Okay, but you can only go back. What it does is it starts from that date, and then it goes backwards however many you want it to. But it's got a limit of 300. Okay, you can go back 300 captures. So I hit 300, and then you hit apply. And that'll load. While it's doing that, I'm going to pull these other ones up because I want to show them to you. And because I got some stuff to say about it here real quick. But yeah. So I'm going to pause here for a second. Okay, guys. This right here is our magnetosphere, right? I show you guys this all the time. And we are getting solar wind, so I'm going to show you what's going on. So I'm just going to... This is a top-down view, in case you guys want to know. The sun is over here, and we're looking down on top of our planet. Okay? So this is actually like this, and solar wind's coming this way. Alright? Now, what I want you to pay attention to here is what happens to this line here is supposed to represent our bow shock. Okay? Or the front edge of our magnetosphere type of stuff. Okay? What you're going to see is you're going to see it start doing some contortions down here. Now, you've heard me say that things need to happen symmetrically. If they don't happen symmetrically, that means that it is directional. Okay? If it only happens in one spot, that means it had to come from a specific direction, not just the general direction from the sun. So when we get hits, we would expect to see our bow shock react pretty much the same on the top and the bottom. Now, we can still get solar wind that isn't necessarily going to do it to both sides, but about 75-80% of the time, if it is solar wind, it's going to do the same to the top as it is going to do to the bottom, or the left or right, however you want to look at it. Okay? So, with that, keep that in mind as I run this through. And first thing I noticed was that. Let me show you if I can stop it. Okay, you see how, you got to look close. You see how it kind of started to crimp up? This right here. That means that the bow shock is getting compressed right there. You're not seeing it at the top. Okay, now we'll go on through and you're going to see. Okay, what I find interesting is we should get hit in the front, and then we should, okay, if we get hit in the front, we compress back. You'll see this compress back. But then we do rapid expansion, we press back the other way. Now watch what happens though. Okay, you see how we're kind of pushing back even before that? Now, again, this was one of the weirdest signatures that I've seen on this thing in a very long time. That one right about... See how the bottom's acting all funny? Okay, look at that. You know, all of this. Plus, it's getting bent in right there. You see that? And nothing's happening up here. So that is most definitely directional. Okay, and as we go through, you're going to see it happen again. It seems to be doing that a lot. We're getting more pressure there on the bottom side of this than we are anywhere else. Okay, and it looks to be like it might be, I don't know, you know, and then we see this. Then it goes to the top and nothing on the bottom. So, you know, what the heck is going on here? And this one right about there. Look at that. I don't know that I've really ever seen that do that. That is a sharp, like, I mean, it would take magnetically, it would take a pinpoint push right there to cause that to do that. All right. Look what it did to the rest of it. Not to mention that, like I said before, the dotted line here is representing where the satellites orbit the Earth. It gets inside of that, it's getting closer to us. And you can tell here too that, you know, that it's almost like there's an opening there. It is on our back side and everything, you know, but stuff still gets in. Okay. If you look out here in the front, you can see where we're kind of open there anyway, a little bit. So let's run this through here. And all of this is very active. Okay, look at that. Okay, now this right here just pretty much just shows you what I was talking about. It went like this. The energy came from that direction. But what was strange is it didn't come from inside either. Because you see, this here is our bow shock. It bent our bow shock in too. So this was a side hit, is what that was. Okay, and not just the side. I mean, look at this. This is, I mean, I don't know that I've seen signatures like this ever. And it tends to stay that way. But I'm going to show you here on the solar wind map too, what it looks like. But as we go here, okay, that's what that looks like, okay? That is not, you know, typical signatures. That's not normal signatures. We're getting something from somewhere. We know we're getting some stuff from the sun right now because of solar wind in those coronal holes anyway. But I don't think it's causing that one thing there on the bottom. Now, when we're looking at this, we got to look there. Okay, that's the solar wind speed. So, as I go through here, look what it's doing. Nothing from the front, but look what happens. It's like something started spiraling right here. Okay? You see that? And then it heads on out. You can tell by the directions of the arrows. Alright? Now, we'll go on through here a little bit. And then right about, I mean, you see that? Now that right there, and we'll take it back there. Notice that there's nothing happening in the front. No density is getting increased. It doesn't look like anything's going on. But, look at that. Okay, solar wind speed jumped up to 894 right there, and I'm going to show you something here in a minute. It's probably going to blow your mind. But you see how we start pushing? Okay, and then look at that. Now look at the wind speed, guys. 1120. Now that's high in itself. Okay, but we go on some more, and things kind of go. And again, it's not a continuous hit. You would expect if we start seeing those things jumping around, we should still be seeing waves come in one after the other of solar wind, and we're not. Okay, so as we get here to right about here, watch what happens. Look at that. Okay, nothing came from the front there, guys. We might have got a little bit of energy, but look at the wind speed. 1,600. You know what that computes to, guys? Roughly 3,357,000 miles per hour. I believe that's what it is. We'll go check it here in a second. And that just popped in. That did not come, I mean, it could have, some of it could have came from the sun, but it didn't look to. Okay? Because nothing's really strange out in the front. So in my opinion, what I just showed you a minute ago, you know, all that stuff was getting hit this way. Something magnetically came this way. Okay? The sun's over here. So what's going on? You know, and honestly, guys, I mean, there's really no good answer. It could be cosmic rays. It could be other celestial bodies that are out there. It could be anything, guys. I mean, that is just, yeah. So, and again, now this is what we would expect. This right here kind of looks kind of normal for a solar wind stream, because nothing's really, it's symmetrical. It's not asymmetrical. It's happening on both sides. When we see this back here, that only happens and it comes out of nowhere. Boom. Okay? That's massive. Okay? And also, if you look at this chart ever, now listen, this thing was designed to look at stuff in front of us. The detectors and stuff are on the satellites that orbit the Earth. Okay? Its sole purpose is to detect density and wind speed. All right? It was not ever designed to look at stuff behind us, but it does give us stuff here to look at. And we can, and where I get value from this is that when it's out of the ordinary. Okay? If it doesn't look like it normally does, then something happened. Okay? Now, if you look at these arrows back here, you see this one lone arrow right here? It's pushing back the other way. That's just crazy to me. Everything should be going this way. But to have an arrow back there saying solar wind is actually moving back towards the Earth, way back there, that's saying something. Okay? You know, and again, this isn't nothing to freak out about, because we're not really having much effect. Now, listen, this is where we got to pay attention to upticks and earthquakes. We're going to have a continuous solar wind increase, okay, for the next 4 or 5 days. So please pay attention to earthquakes, please. I can't stress that enough. And you know, even volcanic activity and stuff like that. Okay, so here's the other graph here. Now these lines, guys, the blue ones are the intermagnetic field lines, interplanetary magnetic field lines. It's our connection to the sun and other celestial bodies. Now, watch what happens. Okay? Now, we're seeing little waves come in. Now, believe it or not, guys, that right there, that looks pretty good. It's pretty normal looking. Okay? So, as we go through, I'm going to take, you see that little blip that just passed right there? That was that really high wind speed. So, do you guys understand now that it did not come from the front? Watch. Nothing's in the front. We'll just walk that through. Okay, nothing in the front. All right, you're seeing magnetics and stuff there get all jacked up. Okay, you seen how it's doing that? Now let me back it up here and we'll get to that one. There it is. So, right there. Notice how nothing came from the front. It just like appeared. Boom. Okay. So yeah, and that's when we got that 1,600 kilometers per second. So yeah. But yeah, guys, I really don't have much else to show you guys. Just know that pay attention to earthquakes, guys. Stay up on the coronavirus stuff as much as you can. And you know, again, I hope I showed you guys how to get to these things and kind of, you know, navigate them a little bit. I tried to do that a lot in the past, but it got to the point where I was just, every video I was eating up all the time trying to explain things. So I'm just going to do it every so often like this. So I hope you guys are able to look at this yourself. I'll leave some links and stuff so you guys can go check it out. So anyway, guys, God bless. Yeshua saves, and you can drink this Kool-Aid.